One of the major skills that a pharmacy technician needs to learn how to do is to compound medication. In this skills video, I will be demonstrating a scenario in which a pharmacy technician compounds an ointment using two different strengths in order to make a strength that is unavailable at the pharmacy. So the scenario asks us to prepare a 120 gram of a 2% of a hydrocortisone ointment with the use of a 1% strength ointment and a 2.5% strength ointment. The reason we use two different types of ointments, two different strengths of an ointment, is to balance out and to prepare the ointment that is requested of the right strength. So we use one that is a lower strength of the desired ointment, which is the 1% ointment, and a strength that is higher than the desired ointment, which is a 2.5 ointment. So when we mix it together and when we convert both of the strengths into grams and when we mix it together, it prepares a strength that is requested for the patient and is rightfully delivered to the patient correctly. The first step in order to create a compound ointment is to gather all the materials. You will need a compounding scale to measure both of the ointments separately into grams, and you will place each ointment on a weight scale that will be placed in the scale to prevent any messiness. You'll need a slap where you'll be mixing both of the ointments together with the use of a spatula. Throughout this whole process, you will be needing to wear gloves. You will be needing the 1% strength ointment as well as the 2.5% strength ointment to mix them and to measure them together. And finally, you will need to use an ointment jar to place the mixed ointment that you will produce with the 2.5 and the 1% ointments to create the 2% of the hydrocortisone ointment. The next step is to wash your hands thoroughly and wear gloves, which I did right here, and then you will use the alligation grid to convert both of the strengths into grams. The alligation method is to determine how many parts of the same product with different strengths you will need to create the final strength requested. In this scenario, the 2.5% represents the higher strength and the 1% represents the lower strength. The alligation grid looks like a tic-tac-toe structure where the higher percent is located on the top left corner and the desired strength, which is 2%, is located in the middle. The lower percent is located on the bottom left corner. To get the two numbers on the right column, we have to subtract 2.5% by 2% to get 0.5% and 1% by 2% to get 1%. These two numbers demonstrate parts per ingredient. In other words, we are using 1% of the 2.5% ointment and the 0.5% from the 1% ointment to make our requested strength. After determining the parts per ingredient, you have to add the total parts necessary from the right column. Once you add the two parts together, you will get 1.5% parts total, indicating the total parts being used to make the requested ointment. Finally, you take the proportion of the parts needed of each ointment and multiply it by the desired quantity to determine the quantity of each ingredient needed. So for the 2.5% ointment, you make a proportion of 120 grams, which is requested, over 1.5 and then multiply it by 1 to get 80 grams. Then you do this again with the 1% ointment, do the same proportion, 120 grams over 1.5, and multiply it by 0.5%, which gets you 40 grams. You then add the 2 grams, 80 plus 40, to get you 120 grams, which is equivalent to 2% of the strength of the hydrocortisone ointment, which was requested. Once you have used the alligation grid, you will then use the compounding scale and place a weight paper underneath it to measure both of the strengths that you need in grams. For 2.5%, I will be needing 80 grams of this, and then for 1% of the strength, I will be needing 40 grams in order to make the 2% of the hydrocortisone ointment. After you're done using the scale, and you have measured the desired grams that are needed in order to make the 120 grams, place both of the ointments on the slab and start mixing them until they're completely mixed together. Once you're done filling up the ointment jar with the ointment, carefully and tightly close the lid and give it to the pharmacist so that he or she can review it. Then, clean up your area, wash your hands, throw away the gloves, and that's how you compound an ointment.